Okay, now I have my pattern open to the first page, and I'm looking here. She's got her fabric laid out to show how to cut it, and it looks like we need to cut out pattern pieces number 1, 2, and 3. We're not going to cut out all the pieces from this because some of them are for the gathered market bag. My head's kind of cut off. Give me a second. Okay, that's a little better. All right, so we know we need pieces 1, 2, and 3 for the straight market bag, and we'll open it up. I already cut them out, that's my confession. But you can open up your thing and look, and it's giant and it feels overwhelming, but if you just look at it and you know I need 1, 2, and 3, just cut them out. But even without this book telling me that I need 1, 2, and 3, I can look at them and find the pieces, and on them they actually say straight market bag for the ones that I'm going to use for my thing. So that is one cool thing about reading the actual pattern pieces. The rest of them all say gathered bag. So go ahead and cut out all the way along the thick lines pattern pieces 1, 2, and 3, and I'll give you a second to do that, and then I'm going to start to tell you how to actually read these pattern pieces because there's a lot of good information on them. Okay, so how to read the pattern pieces. I don't want to go so far as to say that this is wrong, but I do want to explain it to you because it's a little bit confusing. Sorry to jump into it just directly with a this is wrong. Let's just go with this is the pattern piece, and I wonder if I need to come close again. I do. All right. I know I keep jumping back and forth and back and forth. I'm not trying to be crazy. Let's read the pattern piece. There is a ton of actual information on here. It's not just printed with stupid stuff that doesn't matter. The first thing is Portobello Pixie, and that's just the brand name. That's not the most important thing in the pattern, but we definitely give props to Sandy Henderson for her good work. The next thing, straight market bag. That is how we can find out when we're looking at the thing which pieces we need to cut out. Sometimes it's super easy and it just says it right on there, sometimes it doesn't, but this time it does. And even after we've got it all cut out and I've had these pieces for years, I can go through my files, and if I haven't been great about putting them away, I can look at this piece and go, oh, this is the other piece that I needed to cut out for my straight market bag. So I can be able to find this later and know that it goes with that pattern. The next thing it says, also useful, is pocket. That way when she says, use your pocket, I know what I'm looking for. And anyway, it just helps to clarify things. It's good. It also says cut on the fold, and that is these little lines, can you see? Right here with the 2 arrows kind of connected by a line that way, and it's pointing to the edge. That says place on fold, and this is where it's really important to read directions because you don't want to lay this on your fabric and cut, cut, cut all the way around it, because then you'll have cut your pocket in half. You need to fold your fabric in half and press a nice crease there to get it nice and even. Lay this on the folded edge of the fabric and then just cut the 3 edges, because then it will open up and you'll have your pocket. So cut on fold is a really important step. And then this is the part that is a little bit maybe confusing. Right here it says how many to cut, which is normally super helpful, but on this particular pattern piece it's not a great example because it says cut 2 of fabric and 1 of canvas interfacing. What you need to do is cut 2 of each of your fabrics and 1 of canvas interfacing. So, well, anyway, so I need to have a piece of pocket, 2 for one side of my bag and 2 for the other side of my bag, and 2 pieces for my canvas interfacing. I don't know if that's necessarily just printed wrong or if it's just not clear, but you're going to need a total of 6 of this shape. 2 of one fabric, 2 of the other, and 2 canvas. So I really wanted to clear that up before we got any further. Of course, you know what the 2 means because we've already talked about that. And then the final thing that I wanted to show you is this grain line with the arrow pointing up and down and the line connecting it. This matters because let's say you have fabric printed with dogs on it and you want that to be your pocket. well, as you're just laying your pattern piece neatly on your fabric, I'm sorry, I'm slouching. As you're laying your pattern on your fabric, you don't want to cut it out and find that your dogs are laying sideways on your pocket. Or, so like pattern placement is part of what that means. But secondly, it also means, let me grab a yard of fabric. Here is a giant piece of fabric. I want to show you what the grain line is. I'm going to regret unfolding this, but okay. So this white, along the side, and then it's usually not white, but it's either raw or just kind of a little bit funny on the other side. That is the bias of the fabric, and so that is how the fabric is run through the machine and printed, and it can just go on for yards and yards and yards in that vertical and the up and down direction. But it is limited to 42 inches side to side. So the grain line goes up and down, and that matters not just because of pattern placement, but also because of the weave of the fabric and the give. If you pull vertically on the grain line, there's not any give there, but if you pull horizontally, there's actually a little bit of stretch to the fabric. Now, why does that matter? It matters because let's say that I've appropriately placed the body of my bag with the right grain line going up and down, and so the stretch is here. So anytime there's give, it goes this way. But what if I did my pocket the other way, or more importantly, my sleeve, or the front of my shirt versus the back of my shirt, which would matter more? Then my pocket is gonna give vertically, and so you can get a little bit of cattywampus there. I'm sorry that I'm sick. Anyway, so the stretch of the fabric is what the grain line is referring to, and so you can find it by finding the bias and then knowing that this runs along the grain line, or you can find it by just pulling, and it will not give vertically, but it'll stretch horizontally. So that's about the grain line of the fabric, and that was the final thing I wanted to show you about how to read a pattern piece. Two more quick things that I want to show you guys today before we're done about taking care of your patterns is when you are finished using a pattern, fold it up. Don't throw it away, don't wrinkle it, get it all folded. It's probably got crease lines that will make it fit into whatever it came in. So here's all my pieces for this. I'm going to put it in the fold like I found it in the bag, and I keep these kinds of big store-bought patterns, I'll put this down, in here. And so I can look in my patterns box and find them, and I always know that they're put away well. And then if I don't have a pattern that's packaged like this, like something that I printed online, or I guess mostly just stuff that I print online or create for myself, I have folders in my, you can see, in my file drawer with just things that I've done over the years, and I always make notes on them. So, for example, ruffle bottom bloomers. I love this pattern. I bought it on Etsy. I always write at the top of the file ruffle bottom bloomers and what sizes I have cut out. And then I have all my pieces in here. I don't have my instructions printed in here because I'm ink stingy. But on every piece that I have printed and cut out, I always make a note of what size each piece is whenever I print it, because I want to save it and not print it again and again. I've got, this one's 12 to 18 months for this piece of the ruffle bottom bloomers. So it's quick reference. If I'm feeling like making a project and I don't really know what to make, I sometimes just thumb through here. And here is an oven mitt randomly in there. I think that's probably best examples. Sometimes it's like this one I have printed in so many different sizes and it's just full, and sometimes I have them pinned together, but this is a good way to be able to keep all your patterns in one place. And so if you're feeling inspired or want to feel inspired, you can keep them here and well taken care of, so they last a long time and become well worth your money, because they can be expensive. And then the other thing that I wanted to tell you is not really related to pattern storage, but kind of. I want to use this as an example. This is a dress pattern that I have for Hazel, and it is for sizes 6 to 12 months through size 8. And I told you earlier it was, I think, $16, and I really like it. I don't know that she'll wear it when she's size 8, but she's definitely using it. Like, I'm making it for every size right now. And so the tricky part, and this is worth telling you, so stick with me. The tricky part about having a sized pattern is that you really shouldn't cut it out. Because, let's say I want to cut out this piece of the square apron band in 6 to 12 months. When I first get it and my baby girl's teeny tiny and all I can think about is her being little, and I've cut it out and I've got all these extra sizes for the future. You can kind of see. I've got all these sizes that I just isolated and I can never use again. So if you want to buy a pattern as an investment, then the best thing to do is either photocopy it. So like if pieces are small enough, especially when they're for babies, like here is the bodice for one of the dresses, you can photocopy it and then cut it out and feel free and then save it, mark on it. This is the 2T size of a bodice. You can photocopy it only for yourself. Don't photocopy purchase patterns, they're copyrighted, don't be stupid. But you can photocopy it for yourself, and that's one way to do it. But if it's a giant thing that doesn't fit on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, you kind of have two options. One of them, if it's a rectangle, just measure it. Like on here, like this thing that I showed you, it goes around and it's much longer, but it is just a rectangle. Measure it and just cut it out on your cutting board, and then you haven't cut into this pattern and it's staying nice and neat and able to be checked on. But if it isn't a rectangle, like this is the peasant dress skirt, and it's got an angle that's important, and so I want to cut out this size, but I want to be able to cut it out later too. This is where tracing paper comes in handy. So get your, I would say just get your fabric underneath it with the tracing paper and just use that little tracing wheel, and you will have marked your fabric exactly where it needs to be cut. And then at that time, if you have any other fabric markings to make, like notches or those kinds of things, you can do that with your marking paper too, tracing paper. So don't cut into your expensive sized patterns because you may want to use them when they're around for next season or whatever. So that's that.